Okay. Listen, we are just so fortunate to have Miss Jackie Sheppard for just a few minutes. So I'm grabbing her to just with her calendar and the busyness of her schedule. And Miss Jackie Sheppard, she's a researcher, she's an educator, an author. She wrote this book, Silent Takeover: How the Body Had Hijacks the Mind. But listen, she's got like 60 years of experience. So, Miss Jackie, what I just want to ask you just a couple quick questions. How did you become interested in this whole thing about ADD, ADHD, and autism?
Well, Carla Joy, it's really good to have a few minutes with you. We go back, maybe 10 or 12 years now, and I just appreciate you. I appreciate your big heart for people. I started teaching school in 1962. I'm in my 83rd year. And when I started teaching school, the labels, if they existed, I'd certainly never heard of them. And I continued in my early teaching years to recognize what we called at that time just slow learners, behavior problems, and we usually had homogeneous groupings at that time. So I was trained to teach advanced students, the star kids, so if you threw them in a room with encyclopedias, they'd educate themselves. But I was also usually given two classes of the slower learners. I was teaching high school English, and I found myself drawn to them. And I began trying to draw conclusions. And I realized that it didn't really matter the socioeconomic group as much as we would think it would. Those were the early years. By 1970, we were beginning to hear the terms ADD, ADHD, and autism. Since I was getting the high school students, elementary school kids, teachers would tell us, you have no idea of what's coming your way. The kids have changed. So about 19 early 80s, we moved from South Georgia to Atlanta, Georgia, and I was privileged to meet and learn from a research pediatrician. And when he found out I was teaching, and at that particular time I had a tutorial program in my home because the kids were little, he asked me what did I think about the terms ADD, ADHD, and autism. Did we have better diagnoses or more of those kids, as we called them? Now, Carla Joy, that controversy is still going on now in 2026. So I quickly answered, and the answer I gave him then is the same answer I'm giving you today. It's not that we have better diagnostic tools. The reason we have more is we have more children and adults with those disorders. He said to me, Miss Sheppard, what do you think it is? And I said, well, Dr. Murray, I think there's something wrong with their body that's affecting their mind. He turned around and he said, that's what I think. Will you help me? And my response was, what can I do? And he said, you have students. I want to do metabolic testing on them. I didn't even know what he was talking about at the time, to see if we can figure out what's causing this. So as early as the 18, I mean, not 18, the 80s, we were testing for mineral and vitamin deficiencies. And that's huge. That's huge with what's wrong with ADD, ADHD, and autism today. We were testing for amino acids. We were testing for gut dysfunction. These are research labs. There were only a few in America at the time. We were testing for fatty acids. And he would put the profiles up of the kids that I could not correct their educational deficits with academic strategies. I had all sorts of things I had developed because I actually love teaching slow learners. So I had created all sorts of academic methodologies, and they were successful, except for a handful. And for them, the academic strategies do not work. And many parents can tell you right now the IEPs didn't work. And so with their parents, they went to Dr. Murray and we began to look for deficits. The thing that was the major thing I learned, though, Carla Joy, was one morning when I got there, he said, Mrs. Sheppard, they've discovered the cause of disease. And I said, how can there be one cause? And he took out a prescription pad. He drew a little molecule, put some spinning electrons around it, and he said when this little molecule loses an electron or gains one, it becomes abnormal and it will not obey its original design. He said it sort of does its own thing in the body. They're calling them free radicals. And he explained how one free radical will penetrate the membrane of another free radical. Of another molecule, atom, cell, and it will throw that one into the same dysfunction. Wherever these congregate in the body is where the disorder is. Now, what was significant, Carla Joy, for Dr. Murray and for me, even though it was so much over my head back then, was that by 1985, the metabolic tests had become sophisticated enough that they could measure free radicals in ADD, ADHD, and autism. The children who did not have it had a self-regulating amount because they were making the right enzymes. But children with ADD, ADHD, and autism had higher free radicals and low production of antioxidant enzymes. So in my book, I'm going to show exactly this. So the question is, well, shouldn't we then be, if it's free radicals, shouldn't we be lowering them or getting rid of them? You can't get rid of them. It's part of your metabolism. But the term antioxidants was created hopefully to get rid of oxidative stress in man and animals. But the problem is regardless if they put all of these wonderful fruits and vegetables and everything in tablets, liquids, or whatever, the results would not show up in a blood test. We gave these kids so many antioxidants. We saw major changes when we corrected vitamin and mineral deficiencies. So in my over 60 years, and I've actually been trying to find out if there are other people in America who've even been in the field that long, I have seen major changes, improvements. So I have said to mothers, if you want to try to cure it, because you see, we're set up in the American Medical Association to try to treat it. And when I had my private school, I had a private school for many years because I wanted to be able to address these problems more directly. I would say to the parents, you're going to have to let me work with your pediatrician to get this student off of all of their medications. And the parents would usually say, well, Miss Sheppard, you can't stand him if he's not on his medication. And I would say, but I can't teach him if it is. Of course, they can pay better attention. But if you test them on the material in 2 weeks, they don't know it. So you're talking to an old lady who has been looking under rocks for many, many years for answers. I know now that the cause of ADD, ADHD, and autism is neuroinflammation in the brain. And my book will be unraveling the causes of neuroinflammation and what to do about it. I am convinced that we can overcome ADD, ADHD, and autism now, but it's going to take a nationwide, which will become global, effort to remove so many causes and then to add some solutions. Long answer to a short question, Carla Joy.
Yeah. And so my next question or my final question would just be that, so you have seen success. And so this is one of the things that you're going to be doing is writing this book, putting out another book about overcoming ADD, ADHD, and autism. So just about that success, really, since you have seen it, it would be great for us to gather some homeschool parents, families, to get together to for you to be able to share that and share some of that information, even maybe before the book comes out. And because they know other people as well. They know other families that are dealing and suffering with that. So, just in closing, just share just a little bit about the success that you've seen.
Well, let me put it this way. If the parent is willing to get on a new journey, and if we can get the student to be compliant, with one, I had to promise him they'd take him to Disneyland if he would stay on it for a year, whatever it takes. If they're willing to get on a new journey, because they're going to have to almost turn their head completely around about what they think now, then yes, I've not seen failure in correcting this. Now, for some, it has taken longer, but so much of that has to do with it's going to take at least a year for these brain cells to the neurons and all to grow and make the connections and everything. It's not a quick cure. However, with many of them, they've already spent 5 or 6 or 8 years with failures, things that did not work and that potentially harmed their child. I would love to be able to give the information I have to a group of homeschool parents, or sometimes by the time the kid hits high school, they want to do it. They'll do it themselves if they can't get their parents to help. I would love to do that, Carla Joy, and I will make myself available if you can find people who want a new journey. If you can find them, I'll do what I can to help.
Fabulous, fabulous. So that's what we're going to be doing. You will just share this, and I know there'll be, yes, there are many that are looking and praying for answers. And so, God, we just thank you for divine connections. Thank you, Miss Jackie. Appreciate your time this morning. Blessings to you.
Thank you, Carla Joy.